live stream for Dulcimer Crossing. It is the 20th of October in 2021. And today what I want to do is focus on this question that came up again yesterday in one of my classes. So let me change my and I think it has to do with some this is the topic is Diatonic Chords Revisited, and some of this is just clarifying language. So when we talk about sharps and flats, altering notes, those two terms get used a lot in music. Sharp raises a pitch by a half step, a flat lowers a pitch by a half step. But sometimes we assign meanings to these symbols and words that don't properly belong, and that creates some misunderstanding. I would like to share my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. In one of my classes yesterday, this question was asked again, and that's why we're doing this today. So we were talking about the tune Greensleeves, which has come to us in several different modal frameworks. Actually, I should probably go backwards. And do that first. So I'm going to use a guitar for this. It turned out this was from a guitar class question. So we have this is the Dorian Mode. Well, let's get this tuned up. The tune Greensleeves has that sharp 6 in it if I'm playing it in the Dorian mode, because it needs that note. But it also comes to us in the Aeolian mode, where we have the flat 6 as well as the flat 3rd. But it also comes into us in other ways. With the harmonic minor, a whole different topic than what we're talking about today. But this led us to this conversation. Somebody asked the question about chords, and so we started looking at that again, and that's what I wanted to focus at today, because I've heard this question arise several times. So the question that was raised was, when I'm looking at the Aeolian version of the chords, why does this say flat and say major? Can you see what I'm talking about here? Right here for the Aeolian chords. It has a flat sign, looks like a B, right? But it has I don't have the musical symbol here, so I'm using a lowercase b as my flat sign, and then an uppercase 3. So let's review what's happening on this chart. This is one I put together to do the comparison of what happens when in a particular mode. So a mode is a scale: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. That's the Ionian mode, which is also the major scale. And if I look at the chords that I can build using only the notes of this C scale, the first chord, I'm going to use this example of C here. Then I have a D minor, because I got a D, F, A, and then I've got an E minor, E, G, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, E, A, C, E, then a B diminished, and I'm back to C again. So what this means are the only chords that can show up in here are the ones that belong to the scale. The notes that are here belong to this. Now there are other chords, but the diatonic chords are, I'm going to have a C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished. And if you look up at the pattern here, you can see all the major chords are red. All the minor chords are green, and the diminished chord, there's always one in the scale pattern, is purple. And if you look at what happens when I move to a different mode, we still have 3 red chords in each one of the modes. We have 3 green chords in each one of the modes, and we have 1 purple chord in each one of the modes. Now, if I use the example that I've got here of Dorian next, all that means is I'm starting on the first step of the C scale. It's still no sharps or flats. D, and I'm going to have a D minor. My 1 chord will be minor. That's why it's lowercase. My 2 chord will be minor. That's why it's lowercase. My 3 chord will be major, but from D to F is a flat third, which is why this says flat 3. And the 3 is uppercase because it's showing us it's a major chord, but it's not F sharp, which was, it's not an F sharp. In D, I would expect to have an F sharp if I was playing, but we're not. We're in C. The C key signature, D, Dorian, mode, and scale. The 4 chord is also going to be major. The 5 chord now is going to be minor. The 6 chord is going to be diminished. And the 7 chord is going to be major, but it's a whole step away from Do. So that's why it says flat 7. So this is just to help us get the distinctions clear. When I'm talking about a flat, that doesn't make it minor. It means it's not the expected thing to happen in the scale. And I've had to alter things as I've gone up. The ones that are the Locrian, Phrygian, and Lydian are lowercase. We're not paying attention to that because those don't show up too much in folk music. The ones we're looking at them for clarity are Ionian, Dorian, Mixolydian, and Aeolian. The Mixolydian scale has a 1 major, 2 minor, 3 diminished, 4 major, 5 and 6 minor, and then the flat 7 as also a major chord. Aeolian has a 1 minor, 2 diminished, 3 major, 4, 5 flat, and a flat 6 and a flat 7. So what I'm hoping to clarify here is clear up is confusion that can happen when we think of sharps and flats affecting the quality of the chord. So if I say the chord itself is a flat something, it's telling me in the scale of what I would expect, it's not going to be there. So in the key of D, for example, I expect to have an F sharp. But if I have an F major chord, that's not what I expect, because it's now stepping out of the diatonic scale, the expected one. On a guitar with chromatic fretboard, it makes it a lot easier to step outside of the key. But if I'm playing my mountain dulcimer, which has no extra frets, there's not even a 6.5, there's no 1.5, I'm tuned to D, D-A-A right now. And if I walk up the scale, if I take the chords up the scale, Everything is going to be relating to the key of D, and my chords are going to relate to the key of D, but I don't have a place on here that I can get an F natural note. I've got a C natural right here, and if I start at A, B, C sharp, D, excuse me, I'm going to clarify that. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Because this is tuned to an A, this is a G rather than a C on the bass string. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C natural, D. So I don't have any, on this kind of an instrument, which is like only the white keys on the piano, I don't have a place where I can just go get that extra note. I can bend for it, which is what I talk about in my blues class, which will take place today also. But what this means is I'm going to have certain chords available to me and certain chords not available to me. Certain notes available to me, certain notes not available to me because of the diatonic fretboard. Now, if we look at the hammer dulcimer, it's a similar situation, but not the same because I have more options here. But if I play in the box, I'm going to go between the bridges now. This is a G. So if I play major chord, minor chord, minor chord, major chord. Now, because the way this is laid out in a fifth tune bridge setup, my one chord's major, minor, minor, major. I expect the next one to be major, but it's not going to be if I keep going up that way. So I have my triangle, major, minor, minor, or major, major, minor, diminished, and then major again. And I've made my way through the scale. So everything is here. How this is different is I have chromatic notes elsewhere. So outside of my boxes, I can find the chromatic notes I need to play chromatic scales. And the chromatic scales make it possible for us to borrow, when we're in a diatonic framework or our tune is, we can borrow some chords from other keys. And that's not strictly playing diatonically anymore. What we're doing is taking advantage of the chromaticism of the instrument and maybe the music. Doug, you're saying bending has always been difficult. It's a skill. It takes a lot of practice. And sometimes the gauge of the strings we have on our instrument and the tension based on the vibrating length of the string for a mountain dulcimer can make that more and less accessible to us. So, and you got to want to do it. You can't do it as okay, I guess I'll try. It's got to be something you want to do. Now, that is the topic that I wanted to cover today, revisiting diatonic chords. The thing that this helps me with, because that might be if your eyes are glazed because the topic is, so the first thing is sharp and flat when they're referring to notes, alter a pitch by a half step either way. Sharp goes up, flat goes down. When they're altering chords, they're telling us it's not the expected one I thought I was going to see here relating to this note. And those chords all, let me share once again, just to clarify something here. In order to keep this on a portrait orientation, I moved, and I also wanted to show there's a special relationship here between whatever is the name of the key we're working in. And let me go down here to the example from the key signature of C. The Ionian mode starts on C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A, B diminished. The notes in here, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, are the same notes that are available for all these scales. But if I start that scale on A, it's going to sound minor. So let me go back to the guitar so we can just hear this. If I start on C, if I start on A, these are the same pitches, but oriented differently. Same pitches, but because I started on the 6th step of the scale, which is A, it feels minor. Because the relationships of the notes in the scale I played to each other has shifted, even though the pitches are exactly the same. Now, the other thing to notice is the C chord is major in both cases. The D minor and E minor are the same. F and G are the same. A minor here is the same place as B, or A minor here, B diminished here, B diminished here. So it's the same set of chords, but because they show up in a different order, they feel different. What child is this you lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleep? Now, what I did there was start with A minor, walk backwards to G, backwards to F, and backwards to E minor. I just walked down in the chords that go along with this scale or this mode. Now, if I do the same thing using Dorian, that doesn't feel the same, does it? Not at all, because it's that diminished chord that feels funny. So I'm going to choose something else as I do. D, 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 Okay, that was the wrong example. I think I wasn't singing in the right key. But what I want us to notice here is that C and A minor have a special relationship because this is the 1 and this is the 6. You can either count up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to A minor, or count backwards to C, B, A minor, and it's going to come up the same way. Now, if I was to do this in landscape orientation, this Aeolian scale would start over here on what would be the 6 of the Ionian scale, and the Locrian would start on the 7. So this would just shift, and you could see there's the shift that's happening as we work across this way. Every time we've chosen a key signature, now we're playing everything that's within that key signature, which helps me. Now, here's what I was starting to say. This helps me predict what chords could go with a melody. Right. If I'm going to be green sleeves in the Dorian mode, it's going to have a regular 6. And I would say sharp based on the expectation that minors have a flat 6, but it's the regular 6. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and then 8 is 1 again. And Jamie, I'm glad you need no glazing on your windows or your eyes, I mean. So there is a system to it. It's not just haphazard and throw the spaghetti against the wall and hope it comes out when you get done. There is an order to everything. Even though it's not the way I would organize things, I have come to understand there's a beautiful symmetry to the way music theory is put together. And when I allow myself to walk in the front door and look at how it's designed, I can be in awe of the majesty of it rather than bashing my through, which is my way in normally, taking a hammer and bashing my way in through the side and saying, this is all crooked and not right. And almost with every student I've worked with, they came in the side door with me. Yes, I can make this available for you. Looks like I have to do a couple of adjustments in the number side up here. So that it will be accurate. So yes, I will make that available. And one of the things that you could easily do is, instead of using C as your example, you could use you could substitute something and then figure out what are the chords that go with that particular key. Find diatonic. No, that's not it. I don't have a, oh, come on, diatonic. Oh, that was the wrong thing to open. Diatonic chords in D. Let's use this one. Let's make that a little smaller. And let's share that one. This is when it's the same information that's on the other one, but we're using D as our comparison. And here's the steps of the scale that compose the chord. 1, 3, 5 are bold in the uppercase. 1 flat 3 5 are minor, and they're in the lowercase. 1 flat 3 flat 5 are diminished, and they just have this diminished symbol, or dim. They either have the Fahrenheit circle or dim. So in the key of D, I would expect Ionian to be, this is what we just did. I should probably tag this one with the colors in the same way that the other one is, and then they could more easily compare with each other. So I should probably do that. And I'm going to have to do the adjustments of the flats and stuff. But the idea here is I can see in Dorian, I'm going to have D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C. In Mixolydian, I'd have D, E minor, F sharp diminished, G, A minor, B minor, C. Aeolian, D, E diminished, F, G minor, A minor, B flat, and C. So it's another a way of looking at or comparing, because they all use the same key signature. So let's close that one. That light show was kind of cool, wasn't it? It's almost like the Northern Lights. So, are there any questions or deeper understandings that are coming to you right now as a result of looking at this? The clearing up the sharp and flat thing was the thing that was really needed in my class yesterday for that particular student. But if you're ever trying to harmonize a melody and you understand, you have some idea of which one it's in. So when I'm looking at a piece of music and I look at the key signature, that's going to be one clue of where we could be. I'm going to look at the last note as my second clue, and probably a better clue, because if I have the key signature of two sharps, but my last note is an E, I know I'm not in Aeolian of B. I'm in Dorian of E, because I have the key signature that matches that in the last note, which helps me know which chords to anticipate are going to be the best ones to harmonize my melody with. Now, if it's not a diatonic melody, it's a different process. But if it is a diatonic melody, and a lot of the folk music that we play is, then I'm going to have my best shot at getting it harmonized. The other thing is, if I want to play with the tune, and instead of starting, let me think of an example. This is one that's happened a lot. Yeah. So if I play Boil 'em Cabbage Down, which is a major melody, but I move it up one, moving it up to the first fret. I've heard Stephen Seaford and Lloyd Wright call that boiling 'em borscht, which could also work at the fourth fret. As long as you have a 6.5 fret there. And so, Doug, I like that. You stick with folk music because the other stuff makes your brain hurt. Yeah. The fun thing is the jazz chords are built on the same notes. And so there's all kinds of fun stuff that can come from that. Boil them corned beef and cabbage. Yeah, there you go. And when I did it in E minor, I was doing it in the Dorian version of E, and that might be perfect because so many Irish tunes are Dorian. So that might be the tune. That might be what you want for St. Patty's when it comes time around for that. But at when was it? Oh, last week's festival. Dulcimer Crossing was able to host for the first time at one of the folk alliances, the regional one, Far West. We hosted a Dulcimer showcase for the virtual festival online. It's on the Dulcimer Crossing YouTube channel. And Patty Amelot who's a hammer dulcimer player from San Diego, and her group Looney's Fortune played the final set of the evening. And what the way it said is, remember, Irish music is good all year, not just around St. Paddy's Day. I also wanted to call attention to one thing here. A festival coming up this weekend, and I think there's still time to register. I think today might be the deadline, or no, tomorrow might be the deadline. You can have the website display in German. Interesting. Oh, now it's displaying in English. Yeah. But if I flip on the other one, the British one, no, you got to have it flipped on British to have it display in English. But the thing is time zones. So I'm going to this festival, and I'm going to be taking some of my classes at 1 in the morning. Oh boy, it's going to be fun. But this is the second Hochbrett Festival. It's based out of Munich, Germany, where the teachers who are teaching here went to school together. And let's see, these are the workshops that are coming up throughout the time. Let's see, everybody here met each other in university in Germany. And what's exciting is learning that the Hochbrett here in Carmen's picture, this is the modern German Hochbrett, where there are two bridges and you play on the insides of both, you don't play on the outsides. This was something the Hochbrett had fallen out of common usage, and this was the renewing of the tradition in the 30s, the 1930s, that led to this current one. And I'm very excited. And then Franziska, I have a wonderful recording from her. She did a lot of work on Italian salterio. There was a whole period of history where it's like, the Dulcimer revival. There was the salterio revival in Italy, and there was a ton of tutorial material available and music that was being composed. And she's got a wonderful recording of that music. And I haven't met some of these other people yet: Veronica, Ulrika, Anna, and Franz, and Kamale. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's happening. The n.hochbrettfestival.com, and that's happening this weekend. The North Georgia Foothills Dulcimer Festival is coming up in November. I believe that here we go. That's this one. There are room in a lot of the classes here. Registration started just before registration for quarantine, and but this one doesn't take place until the weekend before Thanksgiving. So I encourage you to take a look there. Dulcimer Crossing has a lot of people, a lot of instructors. I got to switch my sharing screen. I want to share a different tab. There, we have a lot of instructors who are teaching there, and last year was their first one to do it virtually, and they did a fine job. And so I'm looking forward to being part of that too. So those are the things that are coming up that I want to let you know about. We had a great workshop with Eyeless Mirrors last week, and the next workshop will be We'll be talking about arranging a holiday carol for Dulcimer Ensemble, and that'll be on the 11th of November. It's a Thursday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And in December, Aubrey Atwater will be sharing with us a very Ritchie Christmas with music from the Ritchie family tradition. So that's what's coming up. And Northeast Ohio's coming up. Is New Mexico going on this weekend? There's a lot of festivals going on. But until next week, friends, I will bid you adieu, and I'll put together this. I'll do a couple of alterations to this and then make this page I shared today. Oh, that was last weekend. Okay. New Mexico was last weekend. Okay. I'll put that together and make it available, and I'll put a link here, and it'll be also on the Dulcimer Crossing past events page, it'll be linked there as well. So I wish you the best. Happy music making.